Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have looks like a 80s style Harmony short scale bass on the bench. We're going to do a whole evaluation, kind of doing this for a friend of mine, and see where it leads. He's got some parts that we have to kind of dig out and figure out what's going on here, but his main complaint was there's something going on down here and he couldn't get it to play right. So before we delve into that, I want to just see if it makes sound, because we can. It's old. I've never seen one before, and I've never seen the kind of bridge that's in there. We'll look at that in a second. Okay. Everything's kind of dirty and wonky on it. Scratchy, as you would expect with an older bass. You want to check this. It is as straight as an arrow, and it's got a wobble right here. This side's flat, and this side's actually got a little bit of a bow in it, but I don't think it'll be that bad. Let's see if it works. It's pretty stiff. It is definitely loosening up. And then it stops. It's probably too early to have a two-way truss rod in it. Yeah, it stopped right there. And I can almost assure you that it does not have enough neck relief in it. Maybe that put a little in. Oh yeah, I think we might be okay there. I can't really tune it up unless he said that the strings were banging off the fretboard and making all kinds of noise. Maybe it will. Maybe we don't have enough tension on the strings. Let's find out. Yeah. Sure enough, it was tuned all the way down. Alright, so I don't know what's going on there, but we don't need a saddle on it to check this. It's got a really thick neck on it. Point of interest, before off camera, I was just kind of checking if things were tight on it. Look at where they put the back strap button. I was feeling around for the strap button. I go, oh, it's missing a strap button. It's bolted right into the neck heel. I have never seen that, and that is such a fail. That is a no bueno. And there's no dots on the side. We might have just enough neck relief to get by when we get to that junction. That's a ways off yet. Right now, I just wanted to make sure that was working. So first things first, we're gonna see what's going on here. I forgot to pull the saddle out. He said he gave me a part that was in the bag. I don't know where. Let's just see what's in here. There's a metal piece he gave me. There it is. That guy right there. I think the bag is probably worth more than the guitar. A nice Gibson USA bag there. This looks like a saddle to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 notches cut in it. It must go in there somehow. And then this must be to get the string height adjusted up or down with those 2 studs, and they're loose and moving, so that's a good sign. But I have a feeling that we're missing something here. This would be the lateral movement this way to set intonation. Let's get this guy off of here and see what it is. So we're learning together. I know we're going to have to clean up his electronics and hopefully make them work better. Okay, I see what's going on here. That's where those two screws go. Are these threaded? I'll bet they are. I will bet they are not. There's probably, we have to get some nuts for that. Or they're in there backwards. It is possible that these are just in there backwards. I'll bet. I'm going to assume there's two little divots right here in the bridge where our saddle height adjustment screws would go. And the strings would go over the saddle thusly. Now, I'm going to guess that these are in here backwards. No, because there's no thread that way either. And there's no thread that way. So there must have to be a nut on there to be able to move the saddle backwards and forwards to adjust intonation at least a little bit. Either the bass or the treble. Kind of similar to an overwrapped original, like the old Gibsons from the late 50s had an overwrapped stop bar bridge. And you could either bring the treble side up and back or the bass side up and back, and it looks like that's going to be something similar, but we're going to have to find nuts for this. And probably longer screws. Because those springs are going to have to go all the way up and contact here to keep tension on it. And there's only these little tiny, I don't know who put these on there. I'm going to guess that that's wrong. Or you have to put another set of screws on there. Or another set of springs, I'm sorry. Interesting. So let's get the strings off of it and see if we can't puzzle this out a little bit better. I see a screw head protruding there. It's really small, tiny. This was meant to be for a beginner, an entry level. This wonky thing here just holds the cover on the back of it over the whole bridge assembly once you get it set. Frets are in horrific condition. Board is ebony, at least. I don't know, how tight is this? Pretty snug. It says H805, reinforced adjustable neck made in Taiwan. It's got my favorite cheap-ass tuners on it, which would go along with made in Taiwan. Get my camera adjusted slightly. Yeah. Okay, so we're making progress. Dollars to donuts. When I take the strings off, the nut will probably pop out. It's got a 0 fret on it. That's really weird, but it isn't touching it. It isn't touching the damn thing. Don't know, and at this juncture it doesn't matter. This is our first point of interest. So I'm going to get the strings off because I do have to pull the cover out. I'm going to pause briefly while I get the strings off, and yeah, we'll check it out from there. Stand by. Okay, so it took me a hot minute to puzzle this out, but I got it. There are nuts missing, retainer nuts. So the saddle itself is actually tilted towards the back of the tailpiece. I'll call it the tailpiece because the tailpiece and the bridge are the same thing. Similar to a fender. I had to source out a couple of nuts to hold the saddle. It's a one-piece saddle with 4 notches in it. so that it can't, it's already tilted back so that it can't tilt too far back. These two screws right here are to set your saddle height. And instantly I realized that we are not, it's already slammed all the way down, which means there's a shim in this guitar's future. So you can see that I put the other two strings on because the string tension is the only thing that holds the saddle in place. So it took me a hot minute to puzzle that out, but I got it. And just like any guitar, or bass as it were, if you're slammed all the way down and your string action is still too high, your neck angle needs to come up right here at the heel. So we're going to have to put a pretty good size shim in there. So I'm going to pause quickly while I take these two strings off. At least we got this sorted out and we know how it operates and how it works. And we're going to pop the neck, put a shim in there. And in the meantime, you know, we're going to also pop open this is going to be a two-part. There's no way I'm going to get this whole thing together. Guy I know owns this guitar, and he comes up with some pretty interesting stuff. In fact, he had the silver tone with the amplifier in the box, referred to that video. He comes up with some pretty interesting stuff, but we need do a lot of work on this guitar. But at least we got that puzzled out. The next thing is to open this up, clean the electronics, and get the neck off, put a shim in there, because we're going to have to shim it up to be able to set it, to be able to play normally. It also looks like that we have literally no first nut action. That one's good, but the bass is, yeah, it's missing in action. So quite a few things that we have to address on this. So stand by. I'm going to take the strings off. I want to pop the neck, get the shim set in there, what I think is going to be right, and then we're going to open this up. So I'll be right back. So why do we put a shim in? Because when we've lost all of our adjustment at the saddle or the bridge or both, we have to change that neck angle, and you have to actually take the neck and lift up the heel here to get it closer to the strings so that we can use our adjustments. I'm putting in, it's a pretty thick shim, I'm not going to lie to you, because we were miles and miles and miles away. If it's too much, then I'll have to take it out and start over with a smaller one. But I have learned that when you're this far away, it's best to, put the big one in, and instead of taking it apart and not having enough. If there's too much, then, well, sometimes that's how it works out. But, yeah, shimming a neck is a common procedure, especially on, more entry level, cheap guitars, let's just say it. Look, I've done them on US-made Fender Stratocasters. Wood shrinks over time, and you have to change that neck angle to accommodate adjusting string height. And it just happens. It is what it is. This should get us home. It may reveal other problems, but I'm going to say pretty confident this is going to get us closer to where I want to be. Yeah. It's a pretty drastic shim I had to put in there. It's a cheap guitar, and we need to gain quite a bit of adjustment. It was at 10/64 on the string height. All right, 5/32. That's humongous. It needs to be down at 5/64, 6/64. And that's humongous. You can't overcome that without putting a shim in and bringing the bottom part of the neck towards the body at a better angle to facilitate setup. And sooner or later, we're going to get to where we got to do a setup on this guitar. Did I put too much? I don't know. We'll find out. There's only one way to know, and that's to do it. Now, when we put this back together, our strings were way, way, way off the board. We're going to do this part of it together. I'm going to put the E and the G string on again, like we had before, just to see if we gained anything. Because that'll give me a pretty good measure of where we're going to go after that. Then I can start checking out the rest of the stuff on this little girl here. And that's what I was looking for it to be all the way down on the board. And it is. It is. And that's what I wanted. Because we're literally all the way down, slammed against the body on our string height all the way down. So now we'll be able to lift our string height up to where we want it to be. I was hoping that's what would happen. And I knew that if I started with a small shim and then another small shim, it would have taken me all afternoon to get there. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Strings are now slammed onto the board. And how do we fix that? Well, make sure we're not too tight. And we start raising our saddle up. Yeah. This could take a hot minute, but this is all experimentation at this point. Did I put too much in? Maybe. If I did, and we run out of adjustment the other way, we'll know pretty quickly. It's possible I put too much in. It's possible, but I don't think so. I'm going to make sure I'm not jacking this all the way up with too much string tension. So I do not have another set of strings to put on this guitar. I did not anticipate having to do all this much. I'm going to say probably I went too far. Yeah. But now we're going to have to drop it down and put a smaller shim in there. I put the biggest shim I had and against my better judgment. It's okay. It's okay. Human error. But at least now I know we're going in the right direction. I'm going to knock that shim down by a couple hundreds of thousandths and try it again. Yeah, stand by. So, yeah, I have never used a shim that big, but I jumped the gun a little bit, that's all. So now we've got some string height to work with, and we have adjustment left here. And just by swapping that out, I'm at 5/64, and I didn't adjust anything, and just over 4. So I know I have adjustment here with my saddle height now. I'm in that zone where I can, once everything's put back together, I'll have adjustment. String tension holds that down. Got this puzzled out, and just got to make sure the nut stays tight against it. Otherwise, it'll start backing off, and it might allow that saddle to flip back. So that just needs to be tensioned. It's a 9mm. Just needs to be tensioned with the string out of the way, of course, or a needle nose probably. That will do when we get to it. And it just needs to have some tension against it. That's all. Next, on this video, I just wanted to open up the cavity. I'm going to take these strings off, and I'll be right back. I just want to open this and see what's in there. I'm really curious. This looks like I want to say like a Melody Maker type pickup, but we'll find out. Stand by. So we got all the screws out. Let's pop this girl open and see what is going on. It's wired just like I would say a P bass. It's got a volume and a tone. I don't know why the capacitor is up here. No, it's just that it's mounted above the volume. It's an odd way to wire it. Interesting. I'm not going to take that apart. It might be like a mini bucker. I don't know. Maybe a precursor to a mini bucker, but they're dirty. They're grungy. I would recommend to the client to replace these little buggers because they're just pretty nasty, but they are original to it. And if he wants to say, hey, they're all original, well, we're just going to give them a spray because they were making noise, and we're going to clean them up. And that's all it takes is a little deoxit. Get them cleaned up. This one's really stiff. I know that there's just corrosion and goop and crap built up in it, the volume. And, blow it out. That's all we're doing. I did check continuity. I'll show you that. So we know our ground. Everything was tap tested and it was working correctly. So I did have to fix one of the bridge bolts. It just wasn't going to tighten down. I tried to tighten them, snug them up. Ground and ground wire first. Good. And just check a random ground on over here. Yeah, we got continuity throughout. It's working. I mean, it worked when we started. Before I put that on there, I'm going to clean it up as much as I can. That's going to be it for today. So we puzzled out what was happening here. We had to knock the neck off twice and put a shim in to get to the right size. Now we have adjustment on our bridge and saddle assembly, which is all good news. And next video, we're going to pop it back together. I'm going to clean it all up. I'm going to do a quick fret dressing on it, clean the entire instrument, and do a setup on it, make it play. We're going to do one short supplemental video to this Harmony, established 1892. Harmony goes back a long way, I guess. I don't know when this thing was built, and there were no numbers on the back of the neck or anything, and I think I'm going to, against my better judgment, I don't know, I'm going to leave that in there. The strap button in the back of the neck, I've never seen such a thing, but you never know from day to day what's going to hit the bench. It's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your likes, shares, your comments. I read them all if I can, and I try to respond. So if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe. We'll talk soon, and don't be afraid to share.